Hey Google, Spooky Dolly to Chris. I'm just going to do a very quick tutorial today on freezer paper stenciling. Um, so I had a request to do this as my Crafternoon stream this week, but I have an appointment tomorrow that's during my normal streaming time. Um, and also I kind of mangled my finger, so I'm not sure that I'm going to do a stream until this weekend. But I wanted to get this out really quick just in case that doesn't happen. Okay, so first of all, this is what you're looking for. It's a big long roll, so it's hard to get the whole thing on camera, but it looks like this. Um, and when you take it off the roll, here, I've got a bigger piece here. You can see that there is a matte side, a papery side, and then a shiny side that has a plastic coating on it. So what you're going to do is just draw whatever shape or lettering or whatever you want to stencil right onto the paper side. You can also trace a design if you just put your paper underneath here and then you can trace it on. I've done that a lot. You can cut it down to a printable size if you have an inkjet printer, and you can print directly onto it and then cut it out that way. So those are all options. I do have one that I already cut and pressed on, but I'm going to do one on camera. So you just draw it right on here, and then you cut it out. I ended up doing much simpler shapes than I had planned. If I get to do the stream this weekend, I'll do some more fun and interesting stencils, but this is what I can do right now. I don't have great control, obviously, over my X-Acto with my directing finger all bandaged up. Okay, so you're going to take that part out, and then you just take your fabric and your stencil and you iron it right on. And normal ironing rules apply. You don't want to hold it in one spot because you can burn your fabric. You always kind of wiggle your iron around a little. I generally go on the low heat setting. If your iron goes by low and high, or low, medium, high, whatever, I use low. If it has like the actual fabrics on it, like mine does, I use the satin setting. It's the second lowest setting before you turn it off, basically. And I start with about 10 seconds at a time, and then I'll lift it up and I'll check and see if it's adhered enough. And if it's not, I'll go another 10 seconds at a time. And the smaller your stencil is, the less time you're going to need, obviously. But you do want to make sure that it's completely adhered all the way around. This one I didn't because I wanted to show how I do a piece with the little floating bits on the inside. And this is why I like the freezer paper stenciling too, is because you don't have to have everything connected. You can have these little floating bits in there that are also going to be covered, because you cut everything out, you press the whole thing down, and then you peel off whatever you're not wanting to have covered. And then you get that. And the little pieces are still attached. So now you can do that. And you can use this piece too if you wanted to. I might even just put that over there maybe. They're also reusable a few times. They do wear out eventually, so they're not infinitely reusable, but your stencils can be repositioned. For example, if you don't like where you have it and you want to move it a little bit, like you can peel it up and re-stick it back down and you'll be fine. So I'm going to go to my iron and attach this really quick. Okay, so that's now stuck down. If you kind of wiggle it around, you can see that the corners don't really lift all the way up. They're not perfectly stuck down, which is okay, because the way that you're going to do your paint, it shouldn't get under there as long as you do it properly. You can attach them all the way if you're really concerned, but I don't always worry about it. So I like to put the paint onto my stencil brush rather than onto the fabric, and then you stamp straight up and down. You never want to push side to side because that's how you get paint bleeding under your stencils. You just stamp right over it. So that's there. And I want to put, I think, one more layer of paint on there just to get it nice and opaque. So I'm going to put an extra little squirt. Okay. And if you're doing something that doesn't need to be flexible, you can use acrylic paint too. I have fabric paint right here, but then yeah, pretty much as soon as you can pick it up, you're going to peel that off and you get nice clean edges. If you wait for it to dry, sometimes it'll bleed underneath corners and things, so you don't want to do that. And obviously you always want to stamp onto a surface that can be cleaned off or that you don't care if you get paint on it. So I have my little nerdy crafter cutting board here, which I can wipe down as soon as I'm done. You can also use newspaper and whatever kind of thing you have laying around, cardboard. You do want to just be careful though that if you're putting your stuff down, you're not laying anything over a fold, because you can get uneven spots in your dried paint if you're pressing it over a fold in paper or cardboard. Okay, so this one's a little bit bigger of a surface area, so I'm probably going to have to do a little bit more paint on this one to get it to show up. You don't have to get it perfect either. If you do it, maybe I'll do this one so that it'll be a little bit uneven and it'll kind of give it like a worn look, like a vintagey t-shirt kind of a look. So if you can see there how it's mostly there. I mean, it's all been painted, but it's kind of patchy, like it's faded a bit. And then you just grab the corner of your stencil and you peel it right off. And with the little floating bits, the way that I like to do those, I keep calling them floating bits. I think the technical term is islands, but I don't think it matters. The floaty bits. So the way that I usually do this is I will grab a pair of tweezers and just try and get a corner to lift up that I can hold on to and pull off. This is going to be the hard one because it's so small. So you just, oh, that came up pretty easily. Okay. All right, so there's the skull. That's all there is to it. It's very simple. You can also use freezer paper for patterns for sewing. If you want to cut your sewing pattern out and you don't want to use pins, you can use freezer paper and trace your pattern onto the freezer paper, or stick the pattern onto your fabric and then cut around that, and then peel the paper off. I do find that sometimes you end up with a frayed edge on pieces that you cut, so you may want to give like an extra 1/8 of an inch of seam allowance if you're using it to cut patterns. Trying to think what else I've used it for. If I think of anything else, that's what I was planning on doing this weekend, was showing like a few different things that you can use it for. Um, so I'm still gonna try and do a stream this weekend. I think my finger isn't that bad. It's actually just a couple of small cuts, but I keep forgetting that they're there and like banging my hand into things. So they're very angry right now. I'm gonna give them a day or two to like calm down and see if I can do a stream this weekend or not. Um, but yeah, I used to do like a custom t-shirt business where I would do one-off stencils with freezer paper. So I mean, I have a lot of experience with using it. So if anybody has any questions about it, I'm happy to answer questions. Um, that's going to be it for my short little tutorial though. I don't want to keep this too long because I want to put this right up onto YouTube right now to make up for the fact that I may not have a Crafternoon stream this week. Um, so yeah, thanks for watching. I hope this has been helpful, and hopefully I'll be able to do a more in-depth tutorial soon. All right, thank you. Bye.